Hello, this is the Ramblings of an Undisciplined Mind podcast for Monday, May 16th, 2016. As of this recording, Sierra is still missing. This is week 7 of my capstone class. So today's a numbers day. Today is a numbers day. And I don't necessarily celebrate numbers a ton, but today I thought it was worth doing it. As I mentioned, it's week 7 of my capstone, which means I have 5 weeks to go, counting this week. So that's cool because I'm past the halfway point, and it's like at this point where the semester starts to really start rolling. And before you know it, you're going to be done. I'm going to be done. You're going to be done. No, you're going to be done. I'm going to be done talking about it. I'm going to be done. And I'm going to be graduated and everything. So, yeah. But the big number for today is 500. And you might ask me, well, 500? 500 what? $500? I wish. No. No, this is the 500th episode of the Ramblings of an Undisciplined Mind podcast. And if you have been listening to all 500, then all I can say is thank you. I mean, you're nuts. And, I've been thinking about, okay, so what do I want to do coming up, The purpose of this podcast was just to kind of keep my podcasting muscles lubricated while I was doing all the schoolwork and I wasn't doing audiobooks and doing other things like that. And so this was like something that was meant to be easy to do, not take a ton of time since I'm doing it practically every day. And that's been the case. I mean, it takes me about 20 minutes, give or take, to do, and I'm not talking recording time. I'm talking to get it posted. It takes about 20 minutes or so to get that done. And it's just kind of become part of the routine. Occasionally, if I'm not feeling it or it's a late day or whatever, I'll push it off to the morning. But for the most part, I do it in the evening when I get home. When the wife's home, she likes to watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and so a lot of times I'll go up to the man cave and upload the episode and get it all going while that's going on, and maybe do a little schoolwork. So the question comes up, well, what about when I'm done with school and I can be doing other podcast things? What do I do with this show? Do I continue it? And I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a pressing reason to stop. I mean, there's not a ton of y'all listening to it, but I know there are some. Some of you out there that listen to it. Don't get a ton of feedback, but that's okay. I don't know that that's unusual. But I've also been thinking about. I was trying to think about the other day I was thinking about the Time Out podcast that I used to do. And if you are relatively new to me and don't know what that is or need a refresher, Time Out podcast was this little podcast that I put together between my audiobooks. So if I had an update I wanted to put out, or if I had some story content that I wanted to share, I would do it on that show. And I got thinking about that again, and about maybe resurrecting that show. And I thought, well, what could I put on that show that I'm not already doing here? So originally I was trying to think, okay, so if we're going to consider this unique streams of content, what could I do? What could I use? What could I share on the Time Out podcast that I'm not already talking through here? The one thing is this show is unscripted. So this podcast is just kind of me talking about whatever. And I'm doing it in my car, so I'm not reading off of anything, obviously. I'm just talking. Just me and you. I'm just talking. And whereas the Time Out podcast is more scripted, just in the sense that usually I have something specific I want to share, and usually it's something that's story related, or maybe I'm answering questions. That's not really scripted, but I do at least have an outline, which I generally don't do. I'm lucky. Like this week, I'm in good shape. I actually have a topic planned out for the whole week, and that's pretty rare. There's a lot of times that's not the case. So I gotta think about, so what can I share on there? Because I'm not in the middle of a audiobook right now, or just finished one where I've got information I could share. But I still think that's a good purpose for that. I also thought about maybe trying to utilize it to share some short story content that I have backed up. Like, I know a while back, and I'd want to revisit them and re-edit them or whatever, but I wrote this collection of short stories that are based upon, it was my stab at humor writing, and they are based upon true events that have happened to me over the course of my career as an office worker. Now I've changed names and I've changed situations slightly or whatever, but some of the events are, let's say, inspired by. You know how when they do a network movie or whatever, and they say inspired by events, and that there's a kernel of truth there, but they changed a lot of the details. That's what these are. These are inspired by things that I experienced, or I saw, or I heard. Although the majority of them are things that I've had firsthand experience in. So I've got a number of these stories. Now, some of them I don't know that I'm comfortable sharing yet, but some of them are for past places of employment, and I think they would be fine. So I thought, well, maybe I could dust off some of those and share those. And I don't write a ton of short stories. I did for a while there because that's kind of the accepted path. You got to write short stories, and then you can write longer works. Since I've kind of realized that, short stories really aren't my thing, and longer works are really what I want to focus on. I don't really write a short story unless I'm really moved to. A short story idea pops in my brain, and I can't stop thinking about it. Then I'll sit down and write a short story. But I'm not just going to say, I need to write a short story this month, and I'm going to write a short story. I prefer the longer form. So I'm thinking, I probably got, I got those. I know there might be some other ones kicking around that I can dust off and polish up a little bit, and share on the Time Out podcast. So I'm kind of thinking about that going forward. I don't know that I'm going to be doing that one. That would be one that's very frequent. Maybe once or twice a month, tops. But I'm kind of thinking of that. And then what to do for this show? I would kind of like to get a better microphone for this. I actually kind of like to get one of those ones that hook on your ear, but I haven't gotten around to that. If I'm going to continue this. But so 500. I mean, that's a lot of episodes, and if you consider that the average length for these things has got to be 7-8 minutes, that's a fair amount of yapping by yours truly. So once again, if you've listened to all 500 minutes, give yourself a pat on the back. Please accept hearty gratitude from me for listening for all this time. If you're a video person and saying, oh, where are these 500 episodes? Most of them are audio only. So you'd have to go to pinslinger.com, and they're all available there for your listening pleasure. But I guess I'll let that be that for today. I will be back tomorrow for episode 501. I'll be talking to you then. So, be seeing you.